Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? So today we're gonna be doing our episode of Ascendant Lord in the Sixth House. And yes, these are my two little bunku dunkus. This is Mamalu. I don't know if you ever met her. Mamalu, look at there. Say hello. Hello, and here's Yashi. Here's Yashi. So yeah, today we're gonna be doing Ascendant Lord in the Sixth House. So, what is the Sixth House? Well, Sixth House is known as one of the malefic houses, and it is known as a Dushtana house in Vedic astrology, because sixth house is a house that obstructs you, and it brings obstruction in your life. It brings obstacles in your life. So anything that has obstacles in it is not going to be a good place. So that's what's known as a malefic house. Like enemies, it shows enemies. Enemies are there to stop you. And diseases are something that can slow a person down. So if you have a flu, if you're sick, if you have a chronic illness, then you're not able to do things in life. Debts are seen from the sixth house. So if you have a lot of debt on you, you can't go out there and open up another business. You can't go out there and do things that you want to do, because when you make money, most of it goes into debt. So it stops you from achieving your goals and dreams. Sixth house is also the house of accidents, because it shows the inconveniency of not being able to go one place from another, because it stops you. Accident stops you from you going to your goal, going to your destination. So sixth and eighth house both represents accidents, because eighth house is sudden events. Accident happens suddenly, not like, oh, accident's happening in 5 minutes. No, it happens suddenly. And sixth house is also represented by accident, because it's like it stops you from achieving your goals. Sixth house also represents people who are unprivileged and poor, people who are in third world countries, people who need to be taken care of, people who need to be cured, because it's not only the house of diseases for a person, but it also shows a person who might cure other people's diseases. So it shows that a heart towards other people, where you want to help other people. It's also the house of small animals. It's also the house of small pets, because veterinarians are also represented by, look at that, he's getting up by the name of veterinarian. Okay, he's going back to sleep. And sixth house is also known as the house of, dealing with a lot of conflicts. It's a house of disagreements. Like conflicts, when you have some conflicts with someone, it shows you're having disagreements with somebody. So whenever you have disagreements with somebody, and divorces, and because it also represents fighting in the court, disputes, it's from sixth house, because your enemy is trying to come after you for disputes. Your enemy is trying to come after you for for conflict. So all of these things are represented by sixth house. So if you look at the ascendant lord, what is the ascendant lord? Ascendant lord is your physical body. It's part of your personality. It's part of your health and vitality. It controls your entire life pattern. So wherever ascendant lord is placed, that's where majority of your focus is in life. So when the ascendant lord, your first house lord, goes into the sixth house, it shows majority of your life goes into dealing with conflicts, with the significance of the planet that goes there. It goes with dealing with diseases. It goes with dealing with healing and medical issues, and dealing with debts, and dealing with all sorts of conflicts. However, you can take these mundane examples that first lord in the sixth house is bad, because first lord in the sixth house, you may think it's bad, but you may love dealing with those things. Like, I'll give you an example. Mars as the ascendant lord goes into the sixth house. Mars does very well in the third, sixth, 10th, and 11th house. Why? Because these are upacha houses. They grow better with time. And every malefic planet here does well. And Mars is what? Mars is your competitive ability. Mars is your fighting ability. Mars is a soldier. Mars is a fighter. So a fighter doesn't want to be alone in a room. He wants to compete with somebody. So when a Mars goes in against another soldier from another country, goes into battle with another boxer, another fighter, another karate fighter, Mars, who's a soldier, a policeman, goes to get the thief, it shows that Mars is in his element. So Mars, people with ascendant lord in the sixth house, do absolutely have the most strongest willpower, strongest fighting ability. They love competition. They can be policemen, fighters, soldiers, firemen, because Mars is fire. They have the ability to deal with diseases and deaths. So no matter how much debt they have, they'll be like, oh, I can get rid of it. They have cancer, they have all sorts of diseases, they'll be like, okay, now it's time to get up and fight. So their entire personality becomes competitive, and they love being in that. So they can be attorneys, because Mars also represents attorneys and dealing with, fights with legal disputes. So, and Mars also is a significator of land. So Mars can become a real estate attorney who fights for other people's land. Mars can be a criminal lawyer, because Mars is about fighting bloods and cuts. So all these things are represented by it. And Mars can also become a doctor, because Mars is a surgeon. Mars is somebody that represents blood and cuts and surgeries, because you have to go and penetrate and fix something. So Mars can represent a surgeon, a doctor into the 6th house. So you see how much positiveness comes in with a malefic like Mars. Another malefic, Saturn. Saturn goes into the 6th house as the ascendant lord. Make somebody a healer, make somebody a doctor, because Saturn is what? Saturn is the one who fights for unprivileged people, fights for the elderly people, fights for the handicapped. So when the ascendant lord goes into the 6th house, it shows that somebody who's out there fighting and helping people, he can become an activist. As a Capricorn ascendant, he goes out and gives the information to people that, hey, look at this country. Sorry for the burp. Look at this country. There's so many unprivileged people here. What are you doing, government? So he goes out and announces things to the government. Hey, fix these things. We need more nonprofit organizations. Saturn can become a lawyer who fights for the unprivileged. He can become like Al Sharpton or, God, I forgot the Jesse Jackson in the United States. They're the civil rights activists and lawyers. So Saturn can make them that. Saturn becomes that fighting ability. And the reason why Saturn does very well, one of the best places for Saturn, because wherever Saturn sits, it suppresses that house. So in 6th house, Saturn suppresses the enemies, slows down the enemy, slows down the disease process. And Saturn in the 6th house aspects the 8th house, another malefic house, suppresses sudden events, suppresses sudden transformation, so you don't feel suddenly attacked by something unknown. Saturn looks at the 12th house, so slows down the effects of losses and expenditures. And then Saturn aspects the 3rd house, which is a mild malefic because it's 8th from the 8. So it suppresses the feeling of uncomfortableness. Again, suppresses the feeling of sudden events happening in your life. So you see how well Saturn does in the 6th house. How well Saturn makes a person. You can be a government administrator in the 6th house. So you got to see what ascendant is there. Sun itself, Sun is a fiery burning planet. It's a mild malefic planet. So when it goes into the 6th house, he deals with it. He fights for the government. He can be a soldier. He can be a Navy pilot. He can be a Navy lawyer. He can be working as an administrator in the government field. And it can also represent somebody who's a doctor, because Sun is a significator of health. So it can show somebody who goes out there and tries to heal other people. And Sun burns the quality of the house where he sits in. So in the 6th house, he's burning the enemies. And he's burning the obstacles out. So this person doesn't feel he has too many enemies. And when the enemy comes, they automatically get burned out. So pretty much all malefics, all natural malefics, when they go into the 6th house, they do very well. Because malefic is a negative energy. And when negative energy goes into the negative house, negative and negative makes it a positive. So Saturn, Sun, Mars, as lords, when they go into the 6th house, they're able to do well. They're able to withstand and makes a person very tough person, a fighter. They're able to go out like Sun in the 6th house can show that your personality, your ego, and your work ethics go into, resolving the issues of the 6th house. You can be in government. You can be giving service to the government. Okay, you can. Your personality and your father, was always involved in resolving the conflicts of the government. Like your father, it can show you, because Sun represents your father, so it can show your father was in government service, or your father must have been in medicine or even marketing field sometimes. It can show, but that depends on what sign Sun is placed in. And Sun in Capricorn in the 6th house as a Sun and Lord will definitely show like dealing with the government services. Okay, moon is a very soft planet. Moon represents your mind. Moon represents your mother, your peace of mind. So when your ascendant lord goes into the sixth house, that can show that, okay, your peace of mind goes away in dealing with conflicts, of religious people, dealing with conflicts with your teacher. Your peace of mind gets lost in dealing with conflicts with your mother as well. Okay, because your entire life, which is controlled by moon, your peace of mind now goes into the sixth house. But that doesn't mean that you're have completely lost your mind and you're going to go crazy. That's not the case, because if there's a positive aspect of Jupiter on the moon, if Venus aspects moon, if Mercury aspects moon, or if moon is in a strong nakshatra, then it can show that your peace of mind goes into bringing peace of mind to other people. Meaning that you can become a nurse, you can become a doctor who brings a peace of mind to other people regarding their health. You can become a healer, you can become a counselor to people who are in conflict. So it can be a positive and a negative thing. You can't just judge a one planet position into in one house and say, okay, that's it, you're bad. You have to see exactly what is happening with that moon. Is that moon in conjunction with another planet? Is it in conjunction with Jupiter? Is it in conjunction with a malefic planet? But yes, moon is a positive, soft planet. When again it goes into the Dhisthana house, the peace of mind is lost. You feel all the time, why is my life always stuck in conflicts? Why is it that anytime I resolve a conflict, I jump into another conflict? Where your brother, who maybe also be a Cancer ascendant, is always doing fine, because his moon might be in the 4th house. His moon might be in the 11th house. If Venus goes into the 6th house, it can show love for animals. It can show a veterinarian. And since Venus represents relationships mainly, and the love that you get from relationship goes into the 6th house, it can show tremendous love for the unprivileged people. Tremendous love and forming relationship people who not only are unprivileged, but people who are helping the unprivileged. You can be, like I said, you can be a veterinarian, you can have love for animals, you wanna help all the stray animals out there. But yes, Venus is a positive planet. Venus represents your relationships. So what happens is, you always get into these nonsensical disputes with your loved one, especially the opposite sex. Like you will always feel like, oh, there's this unnecessary conflicts happening with my boyfriend or girlfriend, my wife or my husband. But once you realize that why this conflict is coming, because of the fact my ascendant lord Venus is in the 6th house, my whole life pattern is about this, then what happens is your psyche changes and you're automatically like, okay, so this is my life. I have to deal with conflicts. Okay, I'll deal with them. But I'll deal with them in a loving way. I'll try not to create a dispute with my loved one. If they want to say something to me, I'll let them say it. And this is how you're able to resolve those conflicts. But Venus, which represents your luxury, your comfort, your relationships, now goes into the 6th house. And what happens is then in Venus Mahadasha, you can run into, let's say, accidents. You will deal with problems dealing with sugar, dealing with a lot of diabetic problems. But that doesn't mean everybody's going to run into that, because here's another trick. You not only do the house-to-house concept from your Lagna Lord, which is your main birth chart, you should also judge how your Venus is going to do from the Moon Lagna, from the Sun Lagna, as in Moon Ascendant, Sun Ascendant. Okay, and then look at it in the Namansha chart. If you're looking for diseases, look into your D6 chart. So that will show you that what is happening with Venus. Because Venus may actually give very good results because it's in a better place from the Moon chart and Sun chart. So you will not run into complete conflicts in life of the 6th house. But whenever a positive planet goes into the 6th house, it shows that that planet is now under tremendous stress. It's not able to handle it. But if a malefic planet goes there, it's like, oh man, I'm at home. I'm in my, I'm in ghetto. I'm in my hood. This is where I grew up. So I can handle this. And that's how you judge that. And especially if Venus receives a positive aspect, it shows that Venus has this unconditional love then towards other people, towards unprivileged people. Mercury goes into the sixth house as the ascendant. Mercury actually does good in the sixth house. Mercury is a curious planet. Mercury is curious about every place, whether it's in the 8th house, 12th house, or 6th house. Mercury goes there and wants to adjust to the things. He's curious about what is disease, what is deaths, what is conflicts, what are these animals doing here? He becomes curious about it. And Mercury is a very calculative, analytical, logical planet. So in the 6th house, he wants to logically, analytically look at things so it can become an accountant. He'd say, oh, I can solve this. All you have to do is subtract this and put your savings here, put this here, and boom, you can resolve your debt. So Mercury as the ascendant lord goes into the 6th house, can resolve those things. It can be very analytical about it. It can be very logical about solving diseases. If a Mercurian person as the ascendant goes into the 6th house and suffers a disease, he will not be worried. He'll be more like, okay, what do I do to resolve this? But in the negative sense, yes, Mercury is your nervous system. Mercury represents your brain, your spinal cord, your intellect, and how you feel, through your neurological sense. So what happens is, if Mercury is a negative planet, it can bring fear and an anxiety. Like people who are always panicked, or have panic attacks, or people who have certain neurological disorder, will see that in the 6th house. But it'll only happen if it's under the axis of Rahu and Ketu, or Saturn and Mars, and all the planets aspects it. Then yeah, person will have this nervous disorder. Their logical mind will not be there, and their analytical mind will just be like they will not be able to make sense of the real world. That's what could happen here. But depending upon what planet is there, like Jupiter. Jupiter is what? Jupiter is a natural benefic. Anywhere he goes, he wants to educate people. He wants to bring knowledge. He wants to bring the intellect. So when Jupiter goes into the 6th house as the ascendant lord, okay, it can show somebody who is a teacher who wants to resolve other people's conflicts. He goes out and educates people. He goes out and counsels people. So you can see lawyers who counsel other people about their conflict, like a divorce lawyer. It can show a counselor who helps people with their debt, like a financial analyst or a financial advisor. Jupiter is also, of a higher knowledge. So you can be a teacher of medicine. You can be a teacher of any kind of, like a law teacher who shows about the history of the world and the third world countries. But pretty much Jupiter, although it's a very positive planet and it goes in the 6th house, yeah, it can suffer. It can, because Jupiter is a karka of your wealth, your children, your education, and your incoming gains. And when it goes into the 6th house as the ascendant lord, so your entire being, which is about spiritual and religion, and it's about higher knowledge, when it goes into the 6th house, it shows you have to deal with a lot of conflict in life regarding your children, your wealth, your education, in order for you to come out of it. So you'll have to go out and counsel people. You will have to go out and deal with people and their conflicts your entire life and try to educate people. So you'll do any kind of job where it requires you to go out and educate people regarding conflicts. You can be a diplomat. You can be, any kind of a school counselor. You can be what is that I'm looking for? A parole officer. Like when a criminal comes out of a jail, he needs a parole officer to watch over him and counsel him. Jupiter can show that, as well as Saturn. But Jupiter is a lawyer. He writes the law as well. So Jupiter can be caught up in the conflicts, like an acquisition and merger lawyer for a financial institution. So all of these things you have to see as to what aspect conjunction my ascendant lord is receiving in the 6th house, and what is the significance of my ascendant lord. But just reading like a mundane example of lord of the 1st and the 6th, which is you'll just always be dealing with negative things, that's not the case, because You may enjoy dealing with those things. You see, there are people who love to counsel people regarding their debt. So Jupiter in the sixth house can be a counselor of debt. Mars is that natural competitive nature. So when Mars goes into the sixth, he said, man, I love this because I have the energy to defeat everybody. And when he defeats his enemies, when he defeats all the obstacles, he's like, oh, I'm the winner. So Mars feels better when he wins a competition, when he wins a war, when he wins a fight. So, and then Saturn obviously says, oh, okay, let me help the unprivileged. My life being is about helping the unprivileged, the poor, the sick. I love this. I want to have a routine job regarding helping people. I want to go to the hospital every day and see the patients. I want to make my government better and help all these people who are out there. So let me become that, government agent who goes out and just help people in conflicts. But it just, when you deal with positive planets, you just have to see, are they receiving the aspect from the Lord of the house that they're sitting in? Because then there's protection from that Lord. If Moon goes into the sixth house and Jupiter aspects the sixth house or sitting in the sixth house, then there's protection in the sixth house. Moon alone in the sixth house cannot just be bad. Your peace of mind may be about counseling other people about their peace of mind, and you get your peace of mind through that. Like, oh, I get my satisfaction in life as a Cancer ascendant by helping other people resolve their conflicts. So where's the negativity in that? Because you find your peace of mind by resolving the peace of mind of other people, by bringing peace of mind to other people. So you can be a healer, you can be a nurse, you can be a spiritual person. So not every single time Ascendant Lord in the sixth house will do bad. Okay? So guys, this is my analysis of Ascendant Lord in the sixth house. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. And if you want to know where your Ascendant Lord is placed, for that, check out the links below. Check out my books. There's Astrology at the Speed of Light and Conjunctions at the Speed of Light. When you get these books, I will send you the link to look at your own charts. Just make sure you follow the directions below. Otherwise, we'll see you this weekend with an interview of a great Vedic astrologer. Otherwise, we'll see you Monday with the Ascendant Lord in the seventh house. Bye-bye.